Well, hello everyone, and welcome to not only the channel, but my new project, which is this 1994 Jeep Cherokee. Story behind this is me and my buddy from California. He came down to Ohio for work, and basically we were looking at doing side-by-side rentals, and looking at the prices, and most of them were guided tours, so you know, that's not any fun. You want to go by yourself, right? So we thought, well, why don't we buy a beat up Jeep, use it for the weekend, and sell it off afterwards. And so we did that. And now I was hooked instantly. So I really wanted another one. This one has a very good engine. It has a great transmission. 4x4 works wonderfully. But you can see back here, it has a little bit of an issue with rust. So, my original plan was to sell this for cheap, take a little bit of a loss. We actually wanted to make profit at one point, but then we realized the rust and really how bad it is down here. So once we realized that, decided to keep it. So I bought my friend out of our shared deal, and it's now mine. And me, being silly as I am, have decided to save it instead of sell it and get a new one. And the reason for that is Facebook Marketplace and the people that are on it. So this will be my journey of going through this 94 Cherokee and making it trail worthy again. So the first thing I need to do is get this rear axle out. I've actually done this a little bit in reverse to where I've already started on it, and now I'm giving you the whole spiel of the project. But getting the rear axle out, I'm going to repair the two U channels. There is another spot here in the U channel that needs to be replaced, and then over by that spring mount in front that you saw earlier. So that's going to be the first thing, and then afterwards I have over here, I have inner and outer rockers, I have floor pans front and rear, and this is going to be the sheet steel that I use to make the U channels and do any miscellaneous patches such as what is back here. And you will see I made a video of how much that moves completely. Just not attached to this at all. All this is flexing, and in fact it's rusted all the way down into here, along with this quarter panel patch that comes in above this body line and goes the wheel well and the whole dog leg, which is a term that I never knew existed before owning a Jeep. The other side has been repaired at one point. You can't see it in the video, but there is a little bit of a mark here to where something's been welded in. And it does have some rust here, and dog legs rusted out. I might just buy the dog leg portion, but as that's not entirely structural, I might wait on that. It is just a trail toy, so not a big deal. But let's get into it. Now my plan here is, being that there is almost no structure to hold this onto the frame, if I try and say use a breaker bar, it's going to twist this entire mount off. So my idea is to heat this up, use as much penetrating oil as I can, and then hit it with the impact. Which, it may work and it may not. All right. getting a sneaking suspicion that I might have just turned that nut inside there. I do see a little bit of a gap. So maybe what I'll do is jack it up, see if I can get some of that pressure off the spring, and go from there. It just got really loose there, and yep, there we go. It's done. My God. Hey, look at that. There's the old ones. I didn't even bother to take those out. I'll take you in here. So that's what I'm looking at. Here's the tops to the bolts, along with a bunch of other crusts, some old washers. Look at that. Being as I have no one here to help me at the moment, what I've done is I've just put on a wrench, and hopefully it's just gonna, ideally, what it's gonna do is press against here, and I can get that off. Now, will that actually happen, or will it fall off? Let's see. It fell. I just made a discovery. I can actually fit my hand in here. I don't know how I missed that. So let's try that. There they are. They're out. So what I did, basically just because I made a mess, got it on top. I could go through those holes. That hole there and that hole there to hold the top. That stud broke off, and that nut is off. So I got these out. So it's not very useful if you're keeping your trunk, but I have seen some other videos on how to do that. So now that those are out, what I'm gonna have to do later is I'm gonna get some bolts and just weld those in, make my own studs. I'll do the same thing over here, and after I clean all that up, obviously I need to bash that stud out still. But now the shocks are out. Shocks are out, so I need to disconnect the parking brake cables, the axle vent, the brake lines, and also just get rid of those fuel lines along the frame rail. So let me show you what I mean. Down in here, these all run along the frame rail. Since I'm replacing this U-channel section where it's rusted out down here, I need to get rid of these. So the way I'm going to do that, down here there's these quick release fuel line connections. So there's one here, and then there's also one a little further up here. So hopefully that light's getting there. I'll show you. So remove those all along from here, free up some space, and we can tack those U-bolts and the drive shaft, which is still in. It's unbolted, but it's not coming out yet. And then we'll be ready to take the axle out. So drive shaft needed a little bit of persuasion, but it is now out. So on to the next part, which is those fuel lines. Right, so that's the first culprit right there. I believe that's a 5/8 line, or it could be 5/16. So oh, fuel everywhere. Yeah, that was probably just stupid on my end. Shit. Shit. So those are free. Need to take this brake line off. That should be fun. Well, now that I've been smart enough to get a drain pan, we've gotten both of these off. Fuel lines. So one here, one's further up here. And what's dripping there right now is the brake line. So all these are free. As well as down here. So just letting it drip for a while so I don't get it everywhere where I take them out. And yeah, everything's disconnected. They just need to come out. Well, they are out. And now we get to deal with this. Now that, I don't know whether you can see that. Looks pretty dark. This right here is pretty much completely gone. So all of this U-channel, from probably this crossmember back here that mounts the shocks, all the way forward to about here is going to be replaced. This is the vent line that I folded back. I'm gonna try and connect to some good metal up here, so I don't have to replace this whole line. It's just a vent line. So I can clean up all this frame, trace out some cardboard cutouts to get some metal made for this curve. So that's going to be quite a bit of shrinking there. After I take out the axle, of course. I need to reiterate just how bad this U-channel is. I'll insert a video of what we did with this, and it was doing all of it with a U-channel that looked like this. So my plan here to get this axle out and fix those U-channels like I mentioned, I'm gonna jack it up on this hitch back here, on the great 3 pieces of wood to get it up, and so I'll have a jack stand right by this transmission cross member on both sides, and obviously we'll have to jack it up real high to get the whole axle out, because I'm taking the leaf springs and wheels attached to it, rolling that back, and we'll set it down on those jack stands and just have this here to support the back so it doesn't fold in. I am a little concerned about this trailer hitch because the U-channel is going to need some repair down here. So I don't know how well you can see that. This is all rusted away. This is the bottom of the U-channel, and this is actually the top of the trailer hitch. So that will eventually become an issue. I think once I fix this spring hanger in the front here, and this has some structure on both sides, that side's already good. So once that's good, I think we'll be able to move those jack stands further back, and we can take off this trailer hitch, and in doing that we can fix the bottom of this U-channel. But before I do any of that, before I want to jack it up, I do want to tie in this to this back panel. When I jacked it up previously, you can see it kind of crush in, so I want to give that some structure before I take the rear axle out. So that's what I'm gonna get started on right now. So fortunately, someone has already repaired this side, and they've done a piece that they just cut an angle, and it looks like they hammered it in, cut this slice, this relief cut, and they welded down that cut. So that is probably what I'm going to do on this side here, and at least I have a good template to go off of. So first thing I need to do on this side is just gonna clean all this up with a needle scale all this, and then grind it smooth, see what kind of metal I have to work with, and think of a patch. Probably drill these spot welds out, take that off, and replace it with a thick piece of that 18 gauge that I have at the front of the Jeep. So I'm gonna make this patch while it still has some sort of shape. Make this patch, and then once I have this made to cut out and put in, I'll cut this out, patch this up, and while this is out of the way, so I can patch that up, and then I can also think of something to do down here to tie this in. That'll be kind of tricky, especially if I leave the bumper on. So stick around and see what I'm gonna do. We'll have mud. Oh, that's bad. So this gives a little bit better view of this. This is where the seam welds down for this panel that I will be replacing. So these all need to be drilled out eventually. And then this is just rotted away, and this is not going to be replaced. This piece is separate, so I am going to have to patch this and tie it into this little flange here. Give that some strength, as well as tie this back into the trunk panel. You can see this used to be one panel that went up to there, but it has since rusted out. So I'm going to have to tie that in, tie this into this bash panel, I guess you could call it, and then as well as while I have this bit out, I need to patch up this shackle mount, and this is a whole nother story. Right, let's do some CAD or cardboard aided engineering, or design even. That's what we have as of now. This is the flange for this little, well, also flange for this to go up and spot weld to, or plug weld is what I'll be doing. And this will wrap around, and this forms the angle of the trunk line, so this is where the trunk seal will go on. And then I will have to cut. I don't remember anything going through here in this little hole. I might just box it out. I can always cut it out later. So we'll see what we do about that. Well, there we go. So this will go on the inside. This will curve around on the, I guess that would be the D pillar. And this will go over that bash panel, and this will curve around to accept the weather stripping. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like I said, this is gonna have to be trimmed up. It's sitting right on the spring, and obviously there's floor that needs to be here as well. So that's gonna have to be trimmed just a little bit on the bottom. I might just use a grinder for that. I'm also gonna use a hammer to kind of bash this in the corner. So I have a nice flange, and actually this can be cut down as well. It doesn't need to be so big, but it's a good fit. I like it. And that can be welded down the seam here, and it can also be welded in along here, all along the top and the sides. So it'll be nice and strong. So I have this cleaned up. I made this little plate with a bend in it. Not very pretty, but no one's ever gonna see it. It's just for structure. So this is gonna fit underneath. These two cuts right here and here are for these little indents, these strengthening indents. So I'm gonna put this underneath so it doesn't mess with the heights of anything, so with like the trunk floor and all that. So that will go in there. I'll weld along the outside of it and grind it down, and then just weld on the inside to give that some structure. It's not gonna look pretty, but it's all it's there for, is for making sure this doesn't flex. So after yesterday, I came in here and made some patches, which you saw. Today I'm going to be working on cutting this out. I got my drill here to drill out some spot welds, and once I get those out, clean everything up. Firstly, I'll patch this spring shackle hanger, I guess you can call it. So I'm going to patch that first. Then I'll tie in this panel to the back. So this needs to go down here. You can see, showed you this earlier, where the old panel used to be spot welded on. So that's going to have to be extended down, and down in here as well will have to be tied into this flange. So this video is on my phone. My GoPro died. So if the video quality is different, that's why. Maybe I'll find that I should do it all on an iPhone, but I figured that GoPro is just easier, so it didn't take up all the storage on my phone. But so here's what we got for a patch. I did find out later, after I cut all this away and bent that back, that this is actually supposed to go all the way up to here. Honestly, I just can't be bothered to patch that in just to put this in, and I've already made the patch with this short amount of space, so that's what it'll get. It'll be way more structure than it had before, and so I'll get this mounted up with some vice grips, but here's a loose fit of what it'll look like. So it'll plug weld in there, and I gave it a little bit of a bend. I did this with just channel locks, so like most things, it's not the prettiest, but it gives some structure, and we'll get that up there now and get to welding. So I have one patch welded in. At least this has some structure now. It's tied into this panel. So, and I have some plug welds along this flange to keep it in. So next piece, I need to make something that bends around here, incorporates this screw for the taillight. So that's where that bolts in. So this needs to curve around, go to this flange, and also form this lip to follow down for that trunk seal. So what I've come up with here is some more cab. So this will go to this flange here. This is still oversized, but just to give you an idea of what I'm doing, it's going to fold in there to follow this bend. So that will fold over this part here. It'll plug weld into here. So I've decided not to do this at the same time. I'm going to weld in this connection here. I'm going to weld the plate down here and then this over. I just decided it was easier to do that separately. So I'm going to tack this in, do the plug welds, and then squeeze this in. There's that gap, so I'm going to squeeze this in and then weld down that seam to make it nice and strong. Here's what we got. This is all welded in and ground down. I didn't even want to show you what the welds looked like before. It's not great. I was blowing through on this thin metal, even on the lowest setting, but it's in there and it's got some structure now. So this will be doubled up over here once this piece goes in. So that'll go along there. I need to figure out this channel for where the trunk seal goes. You can see I have even more welding to do down here. So this will double up against here. That'll be plug welded on the inside, and to figure out a curve to join it here, and figure out just what I'm gonna do to weld the rest of this trunk seal in on the bottom. So we have this trunk panel welded back into this the back of what I'd call the frame, I guess, that ties into these U-channels. So it's tied in there. I've now tied this into that same panel, and now I'm making this curve that you can see on the other side goes around here, and that holds the weather stripping for the trunk seal. So I've made this, I've welded it in, I just followed that and mirrored it. So I left it big, so you can see it has a little step out over here. So I will make that on here as I go. So that's been welded in. And then I have this that I put holes in. This bad boy over here. It's a great tool. It's my dad's, and it makes punches over here and it joggles over here, so you can step down. You can't see it because the ground wire is in there. But in there, it doubles up the thickness so you don't blow through and make holes on thin metal. And here I've got all these punched holes to do plug welds, and then I can fold this in and weld along this seam, and we'll almost be ready to jack it up, get this axle out, and start on the U-channel repair. Well, here we are. Did have our fair share of blow-throughs, but that was pretty good. Just it gets real thin here on the other side, so I probably should have turned it down. I still had it up on 2 rather than 1 for the voltage setting. So I probably could have turned it down for the thinner parts, but I got good welds here, down here, and the 2 that connected here. So it's just 2 spots that it blew through, and here I didn't even bother trying because on the back it doesn't come all the way around. So but I'm gonna grind all this down, make it nice and smooth so it'll accept that weather stripping, and I'll do this contour to come out to the trunk as it is over here. So this is it all ground down. I got these all ground down so it's smooth, and I shaped this up. It doesn't exactly match, I don't think, to the other side, but I think it's close enough to seal up this trunk. It's gonna be way better than it was anyways. So I've enlisted the help of my dad here to help me push this in while I weld it, to tack weld it. And the same thing over here, and once that's in, I can pound this down and weld down the seam. And then we can move on. Welcome to the channel, Dad.
New tip working out?
Yeah, pretty good. Alright, ready?
Yeah. Oh, I already got a real post now. Right in the corner by the wood.
Ready? Yeah. Go. We can loosen up the rest of those bolts. If you recall, that one is loose. This one in the back is loose for the shackle. Same for this one. And because this is so rusty, and I can't even get this bolt to turn without the whole thing moving, and it's not attached at all, this is just gonna, when I jack it up, this is gonna, the whole thing is gonna come out with the leaf spring. Well, there we go. The axle is out, and it is now sitting on some jack stands. So I'm gonna call it for this video. Thanks for watching, and the next video will be getting into repairing those U-channels and that quarter panel. And I think that'll take up one, and then we can move on to the inside, doing those rockers, the inner rockers, the floor, and that trunk panel. And then we can move on to the outer rockers. And once all the structure's done, we can start putting it back together. So I'm gonna see what I can do for a lift kit, and because everything is, because of COVID or whatever it is on back order. So I'm gonna have to find a lift kit to put on, or maybe I'll just salvage the kit that's on it now. But that's a story for later down the line. So that'll be exciting. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.